So, welcome back to day 52. We're on day 52 already. Um, so, we are going to dive into this whole situation of the, the gap between where you are and the designated outcome, right? The little review of what we had done yesterday is we created an outcome and we went through the process, right, of creating that. We said they had to be measurable. We said they had to be specific. We also said they had to be impossible, knowing that that in order to expand, we would have to grow to meet this impossible outcome in all four areas, right? Body, being, balance, and business, right? So once we've established all of those, it can be a little daunting, right? When we set up a challenge, um, to the left here, we laid out this. This is the chart that we looked at yesterday: our current reality and in our outcome, right? And so, what we want to do is we want to address this gap, right? We can set up a challenge to be any length we want, right? We can set it up to be a week, or we can set it up to be a couple months, several months, half a year, or more, right? My encouragement would be, and what I've normally done is do a 9 month or 9 month, 9 week goal, or a 90-day goal, right? But what happens is we have this big gap, right? We have this big gap in this area. Like, how do we know if we're on or off course until 90 days later? We don't even realize where we are, right? So what we want to do is we want to set in there a couple checkpoints, right? We want to check in, and we want to make basically sub goals, right? We have a bigger outcome. It's simply going to take more than uh, 30 days. So we want to put it out there far enough, but we don't want to get lost in the process. We don't want to know if we are on target before we get there, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to set up benchmarks, right? We're going to set up checkpoints within that space. It's going to look something like this, right? We're going to have let's just take, for example, we're going to do a 90-day challenge, right? So we're going to put a checkpoint at maybe the 30-day mark and a checkpoint maybe at the 60-day mark. And so what we have is we have areas here that are much smaller and manageable, and we can course correct as we go. So um, So we have outcome one, right? And we have two benchmarks in between that area, between here and there, right? And what we want to do and what's going to be required to do is, and let's just go back to this diagram, is what we want to do is we want to say, okay, here, let's just say we have a body goal, right? We want to lose 30 pounds or whatever it might be, right? But we don't want to, like a lot of us do, we procrastinate a little bit, right? Not even knowing. Maybe we're focused on something else, but to keep us on target, to keep us on track, is we are going to set a benchmark here to say, okay, I'm going to lose 10 pounds by at this point, right? We don't wait till we're here and say, well, we've lost 10 pounds and all of a sudden we're here to scramble at the end. The object of an outcome, obviously, is to meet the outcome, to make the outcome. It's not an optional thing, it's an absolute must thing. So, in order to do that, we have to have a must before that and a must before that. We have to have some hard deadlines and some hard um, points that we actually meet, right? And this goes for all areas of your life, right? It goes for because in any challenge we're going to have an outcome for each of the four areas. We're going to have an outcome for body, we're going to have an outcome for being, we're going to have an outcome for balance, and we're going to have an outcome for business. Now, when we have these outcomes, right, and let's just say we have a checkpoint one, obviously, is where we're starting, right? Checkpoint two is going to be our 30-day check-in, right? And this can be fairly specific because we know who we are between now and then. In this area between 2 and 3, things are going to change, right? The situation might change. We might have to do some course correction, so it's probably not going to be quite so specific. And we're going to grow as a person, right? We're not going to be the same person between checkpoint 1 and checkpoint 2, right? We're going to be a different person as we go on between the 30 and 60-day challenge. And the same goes for between the 3 and 4, right? So not that we don't want to be specific, but our first course to have action to act on, we need to be very specific in the first part. And the second part, like as a checkpoint, and part of our checkpoint, we are going to do some course correcting. Like, are we on target? Is this working? Same thing that we do in the Generals 10 every week, but we're going to do that focused on the challenge each week. So in that, we our assignment is going to be to teach this concept of checkpoints as a way to check in that in along the way between our outcome and where we are today, in order to keep us on track, not that things pile up and we can make some adjustments as we go along, right? Once again, we'll need to teach this. If you can't teach it, you don't know it. If you don't know it, you can't live it, along with the other items at the bottom of this page. We will see you tomorrow in day 53.